Hello and good evening, everyone. I'm Katie McManus, business strategist, money mindset coach, and I am so excited to be coming live with you this evening with Kerry Barrett and Michelle McCarthy, two very dear friends of mine who I've been really excited to work on a project with. And we were talking today about just the importance of having community and how magical it is when you have people who really understand what you're doing, like what your goals are, and are doing something similar because they get it on like this deeper level. Kerry, Michelle, thank you for being here.
Oh my gosh, thank you. By the way, I love your intro. Is that when you're making it rain on the one side? Was that
yes.
those coins?
I did it in Canva. It's like it's honestly, if you saw the different iterations I did as I was playing with it, it looked super janky. I still think it looks kind of janky, but I like it.
You know,
we'll work on that. We'll work on that. Don't worry.
Thank you.
Instead of making it rain with the coins, you're like making it hail.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh no, God. Katie's going to again.
Don't hit me with all your money.
It's instead of like, going to the strip club, making it rain. It's like medieval times, like here's coins,
It says something.
Yeah.
I don't know what exactly, but it says something.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I love working with you guys, by the way. Speaking of like community, I just, Michelle and I are relatively new. What are we? Friends?
New besties.
Yeah, new business bestie for sure. And regular besties also. And of course, Katie's been a business bestie of mine for like the past, couple of years now.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome. You guys are the best.
I love it.
There, live over, done.
Yeah, done.
we have to acknowledge my shirt because I think this exemplifies what's going on. It's well-behaved women seldom make history.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't.
Yeah.
I like that.
And women who've been so influential in the world, they didn't do it alone.
No.
Mm-hmm. They did it with the support of their female friends and by leaning in. Well, I hate that term because, there's a whole book on that I think is a little filter. But by really like being a member of a community and letting that community support them.
Yeah. One of the hardest things for me when I first, it's still hard for me, frankly, had I not found like you guys and a couple of other people, I didn't realize how lonely things were and how hard it would be to ask for help because you sort of feel like you need to already have all the answers, which I know is ridiculous. Nobody has all the answers, but for a very long time, I struggled with that by myself, and had you watched me anywhere else, had you seen like, LinkedIn or lives or whatever, you'd think, oh, she's got it all figured out. But like behind the scenes, it was a complete, can I swear?
Yeah.
It's a complete shit show.
Yeah.
Good from afar, far from good situation.
That's the hardest part, right?
Yeah.
It's like you get to a certain level, but then when the next level is calling you, it's such a stretch that if you're to do it alone, it just feels heavy and it takes ages and you're almost like, is it even worth it?
Yeah.
But when you're surrounded by people who either have already done it and they're like, come on, and normalize it, or at the very least are propping you up.
Yeah.
It makes all the difference. Because same as you, Kerry, I have spent so long trying to figure things out on my own and spin wheels.
Yeah.
And it's been, it's just not very nice. It's been very
and spinning wheels and spending a lot of cash and a lot of time too, trying to get it all figured out, like more than I would care to even recollect.
Right.
Which is,
Well, and I think we're all like, there's this pressure to be perfect in front of everyone. Because you have this belief that like, oh, well, if I'm not perfect, people are going to think I'm not good at what I do, which no one really has that expectation. No one can be perfect at everything. Right.
But damn.
I know. Shit.
You're close, Kerry. You're so close though.
But it's also that like comfort level of getting feedback.
Yeah.
You know, like when you're trying to be this perfect version of you in public, and then you get feedback from someone who's well-meaning, but you don't have that trust built up.
Yeah.
It feels so jarring, and it feels like an attack. Versus you have people like you guys in your corner, and you get the feedback. You're like, oh, they're seeing a blind spot that I'm not seeing, and they're not like tearing me down for it. They're telling me in a really helpful way so I can make it better.
Versus like a gut punch.
Yesterday, Katie, I had asked you, I was like, okay, can you tell me my blind spots that I'm not seeing? And it was never, it was coming from a place of love and caring and wanting the best for me, but also from your expertise as well. Because I find when it comes to my own business and my own branding and my own stuff, you're too close to see it.
Right.
And sometimes you just need someone else to just be a little bit more objective and be like, no, this is fine. This isn't, and like you said, tell you what your blind spots are in a supportive way.
Right. Well, and you did the same thing for me, a couple of weeks ago as well. I can give the best advice to all my clients, but do I follow it myself? No, not always, because I'm too close to it.
Yeah. Do as I say, not as I do is kind of, it used to be my mother's motto, but I think I've kind of adopted it a little bit.
100%.
It's my motto too, in all facets of life.
Well, I mean, like there are absolutely doctors who smoke. And who do other things that aren't healthy, It's human. It's human to know better and still like default to the bad habits, right?
Yeah. It's a constant battle. And one of my biggest bad habits, and I appreciate both of you for helping pull me out of this, is I get in my head, and I think Michelle, you sort of talked about that a little bit earlier. It's like and it's very hard I have to be very intentional about pulling myself out. I had a conversation a little bit earlier today with somebody who I met on LinkedIn, and we were talking about how you work yourself out of those moments where you're like sort of so deep in it and you're feeling a certain kind of way. And one of the things we talked about, Katie, was something that you did on a group call on Monday, which is where you sort of ground yourself in like, what do you trust that's close by, and then widen it out. And that particular exercise I've deployed several times since our call on Monday, but it's having those sort of like intentional, I don't know if they're tactics or what you would call them, but I have to be very specific about it. Otherwise, it's very easy to go down a rabbit hole and get stuck there for weeks or months even.
Yeah. Well, and I had a mentor once who said, your reality is made up of the two conversations you're having. It's either the conversation you're having in your own head or the conversation you're having with other people. And if at any point, either one of those conversations goes south and isn't supporting you, you have to change the conversation.
Wow.
And if you're alone and you just have this conversation in your head all the time and you're spinning and you're doubting yourself and all this stuff, and you don't have the ability to change the conversation, you're pretty fucked.
Yeah. Well, and it's so funny. Well, it's not funny. It's actually kind of sad. But one of the things I was also talking about this earlier today was 95%, however many thoughts we have per day, it's some exorbitant amount, like 30,000 or 60,000 or something like that. And 95% of them are repetitive. And of those, 75% are negative. So we're having this continual repetitive negative mantra that sometimes is so baked in, at least for me, that we don't even recognize it. You have to become aware first. And that in and of itself is tricky.
Right.
Yeah. One of my favorite things is, when you're hanging out with friends, personal or professional, and you say something and like that, it's one of those thoughts and it just rolls off and it's kind of baked in between two other sentences and you don't even kind of realize you say it. A weight is always a really easy example. Like if someone would be like, oh yeah, but I'm so fat or I'm so whatever. And they just kind of gloss over it. But like a true friend is the one who goes, whoa, let's come back. And kind of actually brings awareness to those thoughts that, like you said, are so ingrained.
Yeah.
And kind of just like, no, let's rework this. Let's workshop this. Let's cut this shit out.
Mm-hmm. We do it all the time.
It's that pattern interrupt, right?
Yeah.
It's so automatic, but Yeah. I mean, it takes someone who like knows that they have trust with you and knows that you're a safe person for them to hear it from, to be like, I'm not letting you speak to yourself this way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you don't hear it from somebody you trust, it feels a little bit like a gut punch. At least that's been my experience. You know, it feels very personal. And I use this technique when I'm working with clients too, because when I work with them on speaking, that's such a personal critique, and it can feel like an attack. But when you're getting that feedback from somebody you trust, or you're in like the circle of trust, or the trust tree, which is what you're in, by the way, here this evening, it feels productive rather than like an attack. Like you can absorb it and take it in and do something with it.
Right.
Yeah. I had someone critique my speaking once, and it was unsolicited advice. I used to have braces only a couple of years ago, and I have the retainer at the back. But because of that, it's not even a lisp. It's just it's ever so slight, but they nitpicked on that so much out of nowhere that I was like, you know, there's so many other things about my speaking that can be improved. And like that, if it was to come from a place of love and caring and in a safe space that was welcomed, not just, hey, I saw you speak. Do you know that you do, like?
Do you know that you have a lisp? Do you know I was asked that one time on a job interview? Oh, yes, I was. That's not even the weirdest story of the job interview. I was for an anchor position, and I won't say what city because it might be sort of obvious, but I was speaking with the general manager, and he's like, do you have a lisp? And I was like, oh, I don't think so. I don't know. But I felt attacked too.
Oh my God.
I mean, I suppose as an anchor person, that's like maybe a legitimate question to ask, but I think I was just dehydrated.
That also, with like 3 or 4 cups of coffee, that probably also might be my issue. It might not be my retainers at all. It might be the coffee.
Might be your coffee habit.
I think Katie comes in with her gallon being like,
I know.
I drink 3 of these a day. I drink 3? A gallon and a half of water. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I used to be so good.
That's why your skin looks so nice.
Oh, thank you. I moisturize.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From the inside out.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, my mom has this funny story about being at my grandma's house, my dad's mom's house, and someone in the den was like asking her, "Oh, did you make this quilt that's on the couch?" And she heard this cackling behind her, and she thought it was my dad's late sister, who was kind of critical. Like, I'll just politely say, kind of critical of everyone. Yeah. And my mom like got her hackles up. She turns around. It's her best friend. She's like, "Oh, it's my best friend. Okay." She can cackle the fact that I'm not crafty at all. I don't know how to use a fucking sewing machine. But if the sister wanted, like,
it's a whole different ball game.
So true. And that's also why when you're doing any form of like personal development, business especially, because it pulls on so much inner work. Your family are probably the worst people to have around.
Yeah.
Because they want the best for you and they want to keep you safe. So if you're like, "Oh, I'm struggling," they don't want you to struggle. Most of the time it's coming from a better place. Other times it can be like, "Oh, you're achieving too much and that makes me feel insecure about myself. So I need to bring you back down to my level." That family, as whether they mean well or not, are sometimes the worst people to have in your inner business circle.
Yeah. Well, and they're close to it too. You know, I mean, closer perhaps than others. So it's hard for them to see objectively as well, because they're seeing you through whatever filter or lens they've built up over however many years. And so I feel like they have a similar, like my husband has a similar challenge seeing me the way that, different from the way I see me, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So I ask him for business advice, or I have a question about this, that, or the other thing, and he'll try, but he also knows now there's like certain elements he can't touch because he sees me through the filter of knowing me outside of a business and everything else. It's really, that's tough. Like he really can't sort of be my go-to person, and he normally is.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Well, and from a coaching level also, you know, we all have our like set of fears, and they're based off of our values, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like I have a value for like connection and fun and irreverence, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how my fears are set up to protect me from other stuff are different from like how my mom's fears are set up.
Yeah.
Like she has a different set of values of like, you know, fitting in and, you know, being a part of the collective and like working hard and not to say that I don't value those things, but her set of fears are geared to protect her in those senses. So like when I do something that's contrary to that, that's irreverent and might get me like kicked out of the tribe, it activates a ton of stuff for her.
Yeah.
And because she's so close to me, because she cares about me, you know, she'll think she's being helpful in voicing these fears, you know, and be like, are you careful? Like, don't do this because you might have this happen. Not realizing that that's not a fear I have.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
It's her stuff.
It's her stuff, but it's not just your mother. It's your father, it's your sister, it's your brother, it's your best friend. It's, you know, the people who genuinely care about you and they see them like part of their duty as someone who cares about you is to protect you.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes it's like misguided, you know?
Often misguided. Oh, hey, Josh, how are you? Josh is good dude.
Oh, cool. Hi, Josh. Yeah. But I mean, but it's such a difference when you have the right people in your corner,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because it's not just that. And I think there's a lot of fear when you're starting a business to go out and make like business besties because you feel like it's selfish. Like this will help me.
Yeah.
But you're completely discrediting the fact that you can also help other people.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, sometimes I know that I struggled and I still struggle with this, feeling like I'm not established enough to help people. And I have I have a strong sense of not wanting to owe anybody anything. And so I do this where if I can't immediately provide a return, like if I can't, I almost tit for tat it. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, I also feel a reluctance to ask for help too, because I don't know how I can return the favor. And that's something I've always struggled with that, but it has exacerbated or it's gotten worse with business ownership. You sort of hinted at the work that we have to do as business owners, Katie, and like sort of the shadow work, which by the way, I never even knew was a thing until I started a business.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a whole shit ton of it to do. But yeah, that part is really tough also, I have found. I mean, I love it. But it's hard.
Right.
Yeah.
But you know, like that part about the shadow work, like how crazy making is it when you start a business and you see other people apparently doing it really easily.
Yeah.
Being successful. And you're like, okay. And then all of a sudden, all this like locked up trauma just kind of like bursts out of Pandora's box. And you're like, why are you coming out right now? And then you think, I'm just not set up to run a business. And then, but like when you have a community of people who are like, no, that's just part of the work.
And I have also found that there is, I think, a real thing called entrepreneurial trauma, which is like a whole separate set of trauma that I'm dealing with as a business owner. And it's comprised of a whole host of things.
Yeah.
Mistakes I've made and things I've been confronted with that I didn't realize were part of me, which is like a whole another set of challenges to work through. It's great. It's growing, but you need to have the right people around you to help you work through it. At least that's what I found, which is why I'm glad to have you too.
Love it. Yeah. I mean, I don't think I realized, I think you know, when you know something, but you don't actually know it really, it's how much of a self-development journey business is. Like you go into business and you're like, yeah, cool. Marketing, sales, systems, SOPs, like all this, you know, scaling team. You're like, oh, no. It's going to be me sitting in a corner being like, this is pulling at bits of me that I didn't expect it to. And it's pulling out the best and worst of me. which was really confronting because at the time I was going through that alone. And I was like you said, Katie, I'm like, maybe I'm just not cut out for this, but it's because I didn't have the right support network around me that I couldn't hop on Instagram and be like, I don't know what I'm doing. But I also didn't have anyone in the back end to be like, am I crazy? Like, am I not cut out for this? Or like, what's going on?
Well, and you know, what blew me away, I looked this up the other day. Do you know the year that women were allowed to take a business loan out in the United States?
1980?
1988. The year I was born.
97.
1988. You were born in 1988. Oh my gosh.
You know, no, but like literally, women have only been allowed to take out business loans on their own without a male signatory.
Yeah.
For 36 years.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So like we're coming from generations. And I don't know what it was like in Ireland or in Australia, Michelle, but like we're coming from generations where like our mothers, our grandmothers, our great grandmothers had no context for the stuff that we're doing. So we didn't have any socialization as to how we could be business people out there in the world. Whereas like men, they pass that knowledge down to their sons, right? Because that has typically been a male dominated field. It still is.
Yep.
You know, but I mean, we don't have like that, that legacy that carries along, you know, throughout our lineage. We have to create it. We have to start creating these rooms and these spaces and these relationships where, you know, you can ask for help, where you can say, oh my God, like, I think I'm fucked up. Are you guys fucked up this way too? Like,
I am. Yes.
And that's so healing. That is so healing when you have someone, you'll be like, I have this, you know, this feeling, this thought, like, and someone else is like, oh yeah, me too. And you're like, oh, like it's almost like an instant, like, oh, I take you, like you just shed that layer instantly.
Yes.
You just are surrounded by people being like, you're not fucked up. I mean, maybe you are, but so am I. So it's fine.
Yeah.
You know, it's
that you can't overstate how important that is. And it sounds like such a trite platitude, you know, oh, you're not alone. But honestly and truly, it is a game changer to know that you're not, and know that you're not the only person that is struggling with this particular thing, or to even have somebody to bounce ideas off of, or have a trusted, I don't know, maybe advisor sounds a little bit too formal, but somebody who has been there and has gone through it and can walk you through their process or their, you know, their particular struggles. And that's been, like I said, a game changer for me.
Yeah, definitely. We do.
Yeah. So,
I'm glad we're all working together.
I know, me too. I know. I'm so excited for this project we're working on. I know we're not releasing too many details, but like we've made so much progress on it in the last month. And I'm so excited for when we launch next year.
Yeah. Yeah. Are we giving it? We're not really giving any details right now, are we?
No, we're holding it back.
But it is exciting. Yeah. All part of the master plan.
Yes.
It's epic. It's gonna be epic. I'm so excited.
Yes. Well, I know we were just going to come on here shortly and just like, you know, have an extension of our little call that we had before this, but
we do our planning meetings on Wednesday evenings. Michelle is in Australia, so we do them off American hours, but I am really excited about what we're putting together, and not just excited because I think it's going to be fun for us, which it is, but I think there's such a massive amount of value for people that will be eventually working with as it pertains to this particular thing that we're.
I mean, this is the container that they'll get access to.
Yeah.
Right. Without saying too much, like they'll have access to relationships like this
and all of this craziness. a lot of swearing, probably excessive wine drinking. You know? We may be in our pajamas.
Yeah. For several days.
Listen, for all you know, I'm not even wearing any pants right now. I am, just for the record.
She did. She showed us earlier on, just to prove it. I think also that like that's a testament to when you do things in a container in a group, like it gets to be fun. Like it, you know, you're not going uphill alone pushing this big boulder. It gets to be fun. You get to like dance and be silly, but also move forward and make big strides. Which is what I'm most excited for, because I think we can all do with more fun in our life.
You want to make your business fun. I mean, that's not the only reason that you started it, but most of us, at least to some degree, started our own thing because we were tired of not having fun in the corporate world. We wanted to own our own destiny, and we wanted to be, you know, the creators of our own path, but we didn't want it to be drudgery and toil and anxiety and all of the things that it can be when you're going it alone.
Yeah. Well said.
Excuse you. Thank you. You know, it kind of reminds me of this one day I had in sales when I worked for Equinox Fitness. And it was like the day before I was going on the first vacation I'd taken in like a year. And I was the only salesperson working that day. And people, like so many people came into the gym, and it was my record-breaking day for sales. I didn't even fucking talk about the gym. I was just talking about my vacation all day. And I'm excited and happy and like looking forward to the fun that I was going to be having at the beach and all this stuff. And every single person signed up.
Nice.
You know,
energy's contagious.
It's
contagious. It's like, oh, this is what we get to be a part of. Like when you're having fun and you create it for yourself through these kinds of relationships, you become magnetic to whatever business opportunities you want to attract.
Mm-hmm. So we are little magnets.
Yes.
Love it.
Anyway, I know Michelle has to get to her day.
Yeah,
and we have to get to sleep, Kerry. It's late.
It's 8:42. You know, side note, I went to bed yesterday at like 7:15, and there was a time not that long ago where the idea of going to bed at 7:15 would have been absolutely horrifying. But now it's like, oh my gosh, 8:42 is. I've had a really late night.
Yeah. We're in our like grandma eras.
Yeah. Like, you shut your mouth.
A young, cool, hip grandma.
That's exactly right. Very young, very cool, and extremely hip.
I mean,
also very tired.
Yeah. And I'm not wearing yet. Never. You know what? I was going to say something that was going to go over the top. I'm not going to say it right now. I'm going to shut my mouth. I have a filter for once. My voice is going. I apologize. I'm getting sick too. It's good time. Yeah.
Well, then you need to go to bed. Michelle, you need to have a good Halloween.
Yes. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. We get Halloween tomorrow. It's so exciting.
My favorite thing is because I used to live in the US and I now live in Australia. All the good holidays, I start on Australia time and I end in US time. So I will be celebrating Halloween for like 3 days.
Well done.
Well, I do the same for my birthday, because why the fuck not?
Do you have a favorite candy before we go?
Chocolate, but it has to be European chocolate.
Yeah.
Not any of the Australian shit or American shit.
Yeah. I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
I'm not actually, I have a massive sweet tooth, but I'm not really into kind of like desserts and jellies and lollies and stuff. I do love Swedish fish though. Anytime I go to the US.
Oh my gosh. Somebody just asked me what my favorite candy was today. Swedish fish, hands down. I love it. I could eat them by the gross.
I do sometimes. I'm like, this is pure sugar. This is terrible, but it's so good.
There's nothing redeeming about them at all. It's not even like chocolate where there's some vitamins or something in there. Or maybe like a little bit.
So if anybody wants like my P.O. box and wants to send me Swedish fish, let me know. Actually, I got sponsored.
Oh my God, there's actually the Swedish candy company that like does a subscription, and it's called Mum Sweets. And I like started ordering from them, and I'm like, you can't order this amount. Like I was about to order like a kilo of Swedish candy, and I'm like, that's just unreasonable because if you have it, you will eat it. And they know me now, and I keep getting their emails and their ads, and they're gonna get me. I know they will.
Yeah, you're like their VIP.
I know. Like, you know, you like sour stuff. Do you want some sour stuff? Do you want some?
Oh,
anyway, I do love
it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, at an event that we may or may not be doing with our project, we will have to have some sweet and sour candy.
100% at the alleged event that may or may not happen.
Yeah. Well,
Alleged.
Anyway. All right. Well, with that, thank you guys for joining me and for being here and for everything that we're doing together. And I want to give a big thank to Josh and Citadino and Chili Chop and Taco Bandit Sucka, whose YouTube name I still love, and Dan Ross, and over on Instagram to, oh my gosh, she lives out loud now. Hello, I miss your face too. Rest and Relax Boston, Edie, hi, and Tamzu. Great to see you guys. And I enjoyed the conversation. All right, I'll talk to you guys before then, but till next Wednesday.
We'll be back next Wednesday, so stick around and tune back in.
Crying. Hopefully very happy.
Yeah, it's just like a stream of consciousness on Wednesday nights.
All right.
Love it.
Love you both. Have a good night. Bye.
Bye. Bye.